What I'd like to do is to bring to the forefront my two areas that I've been working on now for almost 30 years, which is the integration of psychology and spirituality and the prevention of secondary stress. And secondary stress that was mentioned in the introduction is the pressures that helpers and healers and caring people experience when they reach out to others. So that's us in this room. And it's very, very dangerous, and it's dangerous. When I speak to physicians, I use a medical model with them. And I remind them that for every case of poisoning, there's at least a dozen cases of subclinical toxicity. Well, what does that mean for us in this church, this beautiful church this evening? That for every one of you that is burnt out, that is in despair, that is depressed, there's at least a dozen of us in this room that are on the edge of it. We need to have a sense of perspective. It's very, very important so we don't unnecessarily burn out. Perspective, by the way, is not only important psychologically, it has great biblical roots. In the Talmud, we read, "You do not see things as they are, you see things as you are." In our own Christian New Testament, in Matthew 6:22, it says, "If your eye is good, your whole body will be good." But it's not easy to keep perspective. No matter what good things you're doing, and I'm sure all of you are doing great things, that's not going to guarantee perspective. If you don't get in touch with the source of all of this, God, Scripture, your prayer life, you're going to lose perspective. If you don't sit with this sense of perspective each day in quiet time, no matter how good you're doing, you're going to lose perspective. Let me give you an illustration from my own life. A number of years ago, I was in Pennsylvania, and the work seemed pretty good. All of my patients were physicians and nurses and people in ministry and relief workers and teachers and helpers. On Sunday, I'd make rounds at the hospital and pass the dialysis machine, see people attached to the machines. And I thought my work should be my prayer. I shouldn't have to worry about perspective. But I noticed that if I wasn't careful and I didn't take out this quiet time each day to center myself in what the source of this was all about, I'd lose perspective. And I thought, this is crazy. With this kind of work, there must be something wrong with me. And then I heard a neurologist speak on the west coast of the United States, and he said he had the same delusion. He thought that his work with the subarachnoid and his patient should be his prayer. He shouldn't have to worry about perspective. And he said he didn't realize how easy it is to lose perspective and blow things out of proportion until he received a note from his daughter that made him realize how easy perspective is lost. And physicians in the audience said, well, what was in the note? He said, the note said, "Dear Dad, I've never been as happy as I am at this moment, so stop worrying about me." She went on in the letter to say, "You would love Ichabod. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. And our first 3 months of marriage have been most blissful." And she said, "More good news, Dad. The drug rehab program that we're both in has told us that the twins that are due in 6 months will not be addicted at birth." He said, with fear and trepidation, he turned over the page, and on the other side it said, "Dad, there is no Ichabod. I'm not pregnant, and I haven't abused drugs. But I did get a D in chemistry, so keep things in perspective." Anthony DeMello, the Catholic priest and psychologist from India, put it this way in a dialogue between a master and a disciple. To a disciple who was forever complaining about others, the master said, "Seek not to change others, but seek to change yourself instead." And then he gave an image. If you take this image, worth the whole trip out here. He said, "Remember, it is easier to protect your feet by putting on slippers rather than carpeting the whole of the earth. When we lose perspective, we enter the carpeting business. And we leave the house with two psychotic ideas. The first psychotic idea is that people will appreciate what we're doing for them. If that's not crazy enough, the second one is that people will actually follow what we suggest. Instead, we need to give with a sense of mitzvah. And by that I mean giving and expecting nothing in return. In terms of 1 Corinthians 12, we need to find our charism, find our gift, feed it, enjoy it, and freely share it. But we need those slippers. And what are those slippers? Well, for those of us in this beautiful church tonight, of course, our slippers are of faith. But I mean faith in the broadest, deepest sense of the term. The Sanskrit word for faith is visvas. And literally translated, it means to breathe easily, to have trust, to be free from fear.